I have decided to redeem you.
First, a crackle of energy. Then, tiny specks of matter started to gather, condensing, to slowly and vaguely form a body. The being could not move yet, nor breathe, nor see, but for the first time since his death, he could feel that he had arms again. And legs. Weird legs. Bent back at the knees, covered in fur and ending in cloven hooves.
But first, you must be reshaped.
Next, he felt his face mould differently, sensing bent horns sprouting from his forehead, and it was at this point that his sight returned to him. Better, sharper sight. He could now see the very strands of magical energy recreating him. He could now see the invisible hand of his glorious god restructuring his body, and he watched in awe as he became a new kind of servant, one that would surely be the envy to all who attended his master. Meanwhile, the point of focus must be Zinashari. That is where these abominations originated, so that is where we must strike.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah. But it is not merely monsters from beyond that we face. In Zinashari we shall confront a most duplicitous foe. Our own kind. Death to the Highborn!
Yeah.
The Highborn. It is they, led by the Queen's advisor Lord Xavius, who brought this calamity upon us. It is they who must now face our swords and lances, and pay for their crimes.
Yeah.
And it is they who hold our dear Ashara prisoner. Blessed is our Ashara, the light of lights.
Yeah.
They remain blind even now. Aviorine turned to see the red-haired maged Ronin shaking his head in disbelief. And next to him, Proxigar.
Those who do not see the truth in battle march willingly to defeat.
If you knew what she's been to us, you'd understand why it's so difficult for them to accept her betrayal. It doesn't matter what they think. They'll attack Zinashari either way. The end result will be the same. No more demons. And what if Ashara comes out? Says she seized control of the demons from the Highborn, and everyone's now safe. Tells her people to lay down their arms. That the battle's over. And then the Burning Legion fall on Ravencrest and his forces whilst the Queen plays with her own nipples. What then? Illidan had no reply to that, but Brox did.
We know her betrayal. We know. We make sure this Queen plays no tricks.
Ronin's head tilted to one side in consideration of that, whilst Illidan's face gave no indication as to what he was thinking, and Malfurion just frowned. Caught between the small remnants of his own devotion to Ashara, and the realisation that eventually someone probably would have to put down the Queen. If and when the time comes, we do what we have to, and that time approaches swiftly. Graces then entered the chat, having slipped in through the back of the chamber, with Ronin immediately noting that his pal moved with more assurance and health than should be possible, considering he was not currently accompanied by a big red dragon. Graces? How are you? I've done what I've done. You should all be made aware. Corielstras has departed. All the other main characters then stood in silence, looking very solemn. The secondary force under Lord Desdal Stareye will pull in from the south. We'll squeeze them in from two sides. A very slim night elf clad in very fabulous armour then nodded. We will move swiftly. Yes. Strike at the heart. Yes. The demons will cower at our blades. Grovel for our mercy. Yes. Stareye then reached into a pouch on his belt, pulled out a white powder, and sniffed it. And he's a crackhead. Great. Has that Ponce ever fought in a war before? Few of our kind have. Unfortunately, bloodline dictates who was granted a high rank in troubled times. Not unlike humans, Ronin. Strike at the heart and quickly. And we must do so before the Highborn succeed in reopening the way for more monsters. To everyone's surprise, Crisis then stepped forward and dared to interrupt. I fear it's already too late for that, my lord. Crisis' words echoed throughout the assembly. And you know this how? I felt the emanations. I know what they mean. The portal is open. The haughty noble sniffed and rubbed his nostrils, but Lord Ravencrest showed a little bit more faith. How long? A few minutes before I entered here. I verified it twice. At that, the Master of Blackrock Hold deflated. Ill tidings indeed. Still, you say it was but a short time ago. There is still some hope, yes. The portal is weak. I can sense that. They'll not be able to bring through too many at once. More importantly, their master will be unable to physically enter. If he were to attempt to do so now, he would destroy the portal completely. And what does that matter? He can simply stay where he is and direct them.
The Burning Legion is but a shadow of his terrible darkness. Trust me when I say that even if every demon who serves him comes through, we have hope. If he steps into this world, we do not.
A brief silence filled the room before Ravencrest broke it.
This changes nothing. Zinashari remains the focus, now more than ever. Both the portal and our beloved Ashara await us there. So there is where we march.
Yeah.
This bodes ill. Your people seem to have forgotten what they're marching into. What other choice do we have?
You must reconsider sending messengers, as I suggested.
Messengers?
I accept your anxiety, but we've hardly sunk so low. Fear not, Master Krasus. We will take Zinashari. We will cut off the portal. I promise you that. And with that, Lord Ravencrest, Desdal Stareye, and the rest of the guards proudly marched out of the room, as if the war had already been won, or something.
What was that all about? Messengers to whom?
I've been trying to persuade him to ask for assistance from the dwarves and the other races.
Asked the other races?
Yes, and I can see from your expression that that was a waste of time.
It was hard enough to convince the dwarves, orcs, elves and humans to work together in where we came from.
And Krasus nodded, wearily.
Even my own kind have their prejudices.
'Twas the closest Krasus had come to revealing what the bloody hell he truly was, but Malfurion did not press. Now was not the time for that.
You didn't tell them about Corielstra's leaving. Lord Ravencrest knows of it. I sent word as soon as Corielstra's originally declared his decision. You shouldn't have let him go. He shares a concern with me about the dragons. As should you. So what we doing? We fighting? We have no choice. We're trapped here. Things have become too tangled not to take an active part. We can't just stand by. No. It's gone beyond that.
Malfurion had no idea what any of these assholes were talking about, but, again, didn't press. Besides,
I have to leave. There's something I must do. Please give her my greetings, Malfurion.
The young druid blushed.
Of course. Do not steel yourself against your emotions too much, young one. They're part of your calling, your destiny. You will need them greatly in the days ahead. Especially as he is in no doubt here now. Who? What else haven't you told us? I'm only using logic, Ronin. You saw the beast Manaroth guiding the Legion when they swept out from that city. We can beat Manaroth. We beat him before, back home. And you recall what happened after his defeat. Back home.
Malfurion noted that both Ronin and Brox now suddenly seemed extremely disturbed.
Archimonde. Who's that? He who sits at the right hand of the Lord of the bloody Burning Legion.
Meanwhile again,
Yes, my dear Captain.
Radiance of the moon. Flower of life. I bring important tidings. The Great One, Sargeras.
the sheer mention of that name caused Ashara to immediately perk up some.
He's arrived?
Nay, Light of Lights. It's not yet possible for the portal to hold his magnificence. But he's sent his most trusted to finally make the way ready.
Then I must greet him.
That declaration caused attendants to immediately flock to the Queen, walking behind her and carrying the back of her dress and stuff, with the Felguard who acted as her personal bodyguard also lurching forward. Outside the room, a pair of Felbeasts stood guard at the door, and immediately a Felguard created a protective wall between the Queen and the hounds. Felbeasts drain magic the way insects drink blood, so to them, Queen Ashara was an all-you-can-eat buffet. However, the Queen waved a dismissive hand and walked right up to the buggers. Captain Varathen watched and nodded, as both of the Felbeasts turned into a bunch of good boys. Little well-behaved foofaladoofs. Tails a-wagging and tongues a-flapping. Ain't nobody, demon or otherwise, that should ever underestimate his beloved monarch. The Queen and her entourage eventually arrived in the main room, and for the first time in her entire life, Ashara lost a bit of her cool composure.
You are Queen Ashara. Sargeras is pleased by your loyalty.
Archimonde's steady, unblinking gaze then turned to Captain Varathen for a moment.
And the Great One always approves of a capable warrior. I am honoured.
As if no longer acknowledging the pair as anything of interest, Archimonde then turned away from them, back towards the portal and the wavy-armed highborn in front of it.
Hold the way steady. He'll be coming through now.
Sargeras is coming.
No. Another.
The shapes then coalesced in the portal, and a foot then entered the mortal plane. Or rather, a hoof. Some kind of goat-legged horny bloke. Muscly torso, almost beast-like, but with eyes revealing a deep, cunning intelligence. Eyes that seemed weirdly familiar.
Lord Xavius.